Welcome to Risky in 2025. Here I'm in Zurich and I have the pleasure to talk with Franck Baron, Chief Risk Officer of International SOS. So what are you doing here?
I'm here to meet with peers and get new ideas because risk managers need new ideas to develop their job and to make sure that we are not missing what is important and what is changing, because change is something very permanent now. So let's make sure we are connecting to what's happening.
So what kind of new ideas? Why is that needed?
If you look at the geopolitical uncertainty, the economic recession environment, we are talking about a perma-crisis, or I would say polycrisis type of environment, where if you look at maybe a few years ago, it was like, let's deal with one crisis or one risk and then move on. Today, they are just piling up. So risk manager needs to level up their game to manage this environment and to make sure that they will remain relevant to their organization in terms of, if I have climate change, health dynamics and geopolitical and economic and whatever other risks, supply chain, etc., to deal with, what do I have to do to be relevant to my organization?
They already have a full plate. How do you want them to do that?
Well, there is a couple of things that needs to happen. They need to have, if it's not yet the case, the right conversation at the right level to highlight the importance of what they do, the relevance of what they do, and on top of that, leveraging on data and the new technologies that are readily available and quite affordable to help them to, I would say, to enhance their capability to take on new projects, new risks, new initiatives.
So they have to implement AI in their teams and grow their teams? How do they do that?
For instance, what I did for International SOS as the Chief Risk Officer, the first thing I did 2.5 years ago, I created a data and tech position in my team. The person is just in charge of data and new technology to support the risk management team, which should not be seen as an afterthought. It should be front and center to risk management. So this is what we did, and since we developed our own risk management program powered by GenAI, we can cope with a multitude of data, a multitude of problems, a multitude of documents, a multitude of languages. So for instance, the system is agnostic in terms of languages, so we can dump into this all the documents we want, insurance policies, commercial contracts, whatever.
That's fantastic. It's incredible.
So, and it's really helping my team to be much more productive, much more relevant to the company. They love it. It's really a way to deliver, I would say, compared to previously where we are pushing back because lack of access to data, lack of system to make things happen. And today the new technologies are very flexible. Can be structured or non-structured data. The system can cope with it, and if you add to this the data sharing protocols, the APIs that you can develop, having an open platform when you can get the feed from many internal systems or external systems.
Agents. AI agents, yeah.
Yeah. So it is today a way to say, you know what, I don't need to have one single system with one single technology. If you have the right approach to it, you can get all the other technologies used by your company or externally to give you the feed that you need to do your job.
But what's the impact for the profiles you have in your team? How does that work?
I did downsize my team by 15% because productivity gains are expected from this approach in other departments. I wanted to show and say, I need an honest view on my team. Do I need this position? The answer was no. We increase the seniority of our people and their ability to address complex risks, data equipped and technology driven.
How are you going to build then the next generation of people for your team? It seems you need the senior ones, and what's below that?
Well, the interesting thing is that if I look at the last 2 persons I hired, they have zero insurance expertise or risk expertise. They came with a project management background or IT tech background, and they're adapting to my ecosystem instead of taking somebody from the risk and insurance industry, I would say. So that's the decision I made, because I think it's better this way, because I need people with a different way to think things through and not the regular profile you can have in our industry.
Interesting. And for the risk managers, what is your top advice for them?
The top advice for me is to say the momentum is fantastic because the risk is extremely volatile, changing constantly. The interconnection of risks is there. It's piling up, as I mentioned, perma-crisis and polycrisis. It's time to leave your office, address the right people, and make sure that the acknowledgement of your job, the positioning you have, the connection and relevancy you have to the top decision makers. There is definitely something to do. I would say insurance should be seen as a strategic risk financing tool. At the end of the day, to the CFO of the company, we are financing the needs of our company. You are dealing with banks, but we're also dealing with insurers. And insurers are not a boring and admin type of procurement. It is first and foremost the allocation of capital to risks. So this is the type of conversation you need to have to articulate this way with them, and make sure that, for instance, your CFO, next time you ask him the question, how many times in a month you meet with your banks and how many times in a month you are meeting with your insurers, they usually say, I meet with my bankers and financiers once every day, once every week, and I usually don't meet with insurers to change this. This should be treated and acknowledged as a critical capital allocation provider.
Risk managers have to get back on the field. Thanks a lot, Frank. That was very interesting. Have
fun.
a great conference.
Thank you.
Take care. Cheers.